Hello everybody, and including Queen fans. And in this video I'm going to be doing an analysis on all 3 volumes of Queen's greatest hits albums that they released. So yeah, this is the Platinum collection. This has all 3 volumes in it. So yeah, I'll take the cardboard sleeve off so you can see the covers there. So I'm basically going to be going over the track listings on these compilations, what albums they came from originally, and basically my thoughts on these compilations. So the first track on Greatest Hits Volume 1 is Bohemian Rhapsody, which comes from A Night at the Opera. And then the second track is Another One Bites the Dust, which comes from The Game. I apologise for the lighting in here. Track 3 is Killer Queen, which is from Sheer Heart Attack. And then we have Fat Bottom Girls and Bicycle Race, which both come from Jazz. And then we have You're My Best Friend, which is from A Night at the Opera. And then we have Don't Stop Me Now, which comes from Jazz. And then we have Save Me and Crazy Little Thing Called Love, which come from The Game. And then we have Somebody to Love, which comes from A Day at the Races. And then we have Now I'm Here, which is from Sheer Heart Attack. And then we have Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, which is from Day at the Races. And then we have Play the Game, which is from The Game. And then we have Flash, which is from the Flash Gordon soundtrack, but slightly different version. The version released as a single had different sound effects in it, but it's still the same song. I should have mentioned that Fat Bottom Girls on the Jazz album the single version was edited down. The version on the album is slightly longer. And then we have The Seven Seas of Rye, which is from Queen 2. And then we have We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, which are both from this album, News of the World. So that's Greatest Hits Volume 1, and then Greatest Hits Volume 2. Put away all the 70s ones. Now that basically covers the 70s period. So Greatest Hits Volume 2, we have Kind of Magic, which appears on the album of the same name. And then Under Pressure, which is from Hot Space, which I actually like this album, I'm not going to lie. You probably know because I ranked all the albums, and you know I actually do like that album a lot. And then we have Radio Gaga, which is from The Works. And then we have I Want It All from The Miracle. again, the single version is slightly different to the version. So yeah, the single version is the one that appears on the greatest hits. Like the single versions of these album tracks are the ones that appear on the hits compilation. So yeah, the album version's a bit longer, but it's still the same song. It's the same recording, it's just a different edit. And then we have I Want to Break Free, which is from The Works. And again, the version on the greatest hits is the single version, which is slightly different. It's edited differently. Don't know why. I think, well, I probably do know why. I think it's to do with radio play. Like maybe they think the song's too long for radio play, so they cut it down. But no, I don't like it when they do that. I like to hear the song as it was intended on the album. Even though the single version is the one that I was used to for a long time until I heard the version on the album, and I was like, oh, this is different. It's a bit different. So yeah, it kind of surprised me. For a long time, all I had was the greatest hits, so I didn't really know that the versions of those songs on the album were edited differently. Anyway, let's not lose track. And then we have Innuendo, which is on the album of the same name. Sorry about that. And then we have It's a Hard Life, which is from The Works. And then we have Breakthrough, which is from The Miracle. And then we have Who Wants to Live Forever, which is from A Kind of Magic. And then we have Headlong, which is from Innuendo, of course. And then we have The Miracle, which of course appears on the album of the same name, The Miracle. Then we have I'm Going Slightly Mad, which is from Innuendo. And then we have The Invisible Man from The Miracles. So you get a lot of Miracle and Innuendo tracks on here. And then we get Hammer to Fall, which is from The Works. This album's largely represented on here as well. And then we get Friends Will Be Friends, which is from A Kind of Magic. And then we have The Show Must Go On from Innuendo. And then the final track is One Vision, which is from A Kind of Magic, but it's the single version is the one that appears on the greatest hits, and it's edited differently. But I love both versions really. And now we're covering Greatest Hits Volume 3, which technically not everything on here is by Queen. Most of it is Queen, but some of it is from like Freddie's solo careers or from Brian May's solo career. And there's some stuff on here from the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, which was performed by the surviving members of Queen, but you had other artists as well, like you had George Michael, Elton John. So yeah, let's go through the track listing on Greatest Hits 3. So Greatest Hits Volume 3, we have The Show Must Go On. This is the version from the the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, and this is sang by Elton John. And then we have a remixed version of Under Pressure. This is like it's called the Ra mix or something. It's a much more faster version. It's sped up and it's all right actually, but I prefer the original version. You know, like in the 90s, they were like remixing a lot of like songs, like speeding them up. So yeah, it's good to have us, but I think this is the only place where you can get that particular version. And then we've got Barcelona, which is a Freddie Mercury solo track. So that was a single in the late 80s, I believe. And we've got Too Much Love Will Kill You, which appears on this album, Made in Heaven. It's Queen's last album. And then we get the Somebody to Love, which is the version from the Freddie tribute concert, and this is sang by George Michael. I will admit I'm not a huge George Michael fan, but he's a guy that I've always respected, and it was sad when he passed. I could say the same about Elton John. I'm not a huge Elton John fan, but I have great respect for the guy. Definitely talented. He's got some great songs. And then we've got You Don't Fool Me and Heaven for Everyone, which both come from Made in Heaven. Although the single version, which appears on the greatest hits of Heaven for Everyone, is slightly shorter. It's not different. It's not much different, just a bit different. And then we have... this is one song that I never could pronounce. Las Palabras de Amor, which is from Hot Space. And then we have Driven by You, which is a Brian May solo track. It's pretty good, actually. And then we have Living on My Own, which is a Freddie Mercury solo track. And then we have Let Me Live, which appears on Made in Heaven. And then we have The Great Pretender, which is another Freddie Mercury solo track. And then we have Princes of the Universe, which is from A Kind of Magic. And then we have a hip-hop version of Another One Bites the Dust, which is the version by Wycliffe Jean, but he uses samples of the original version by Queen added into the song. I'm not the biggest hip-hop fan, but there's some exceptions. I'll listen to some rap, I like stuff like Run DMC, LL Cool J, stuff like that. I enjoy. And then we have No One But You, which was a non-album single released by the three surviving members of Queen. So just a few. This was after Freddie died. So yeah, it's just three members on here. It's got Brian May and Roger Taylor sharing lead vocals on that song. It's a great song. I love it. I think this is the only place you can get that song, because it wasn't on an album, because they didn't make an album to accompany that single. And then we've got These Are the Days of Our Lives, which is from Innuendo. And then the final track is Thank God It's Christmas, which is it's a non-album single. So that's it. That's my analysis on those three compilations. Now, what do I think of these compilations? I'd say if you're a casual Queen fan and you don't want to buy all the albums, I'd say this is perfect to have. If you just want the best of the best, then this is perfect for you. But if you're a hardcore Queen fan like me, then this is not going to be enough for you. You're going to want all of the albums, which I've got. But it's perfect for the casual fan, although one of my tiny nitpicks of this, it doesn't include anything from Queen's first album. Songs like Keep Yourself Alive, which was their first hit single, which was on their first album. I feel like they could have included that on Greatest Hits Volume 1. I do believe that because I think there were different releases of Greatest Hits Volume 1, in different countries, there was versions with different track listings, and I think some of those, there was a version that did have that song on it, but I don't know why they didn't just include it on there in the first place. So yeah, it doesn't represent Queen's first album, but it represents all their other albums. And I do like the fact that, because there's slightly different versions of some of the album tracks, the single versions are edited differently, so you've got them on here. And then Greatest Hits Volume 3 obviously has some songs which you couldn't get on the studio albums, so yeah, it kind of makes it a worthwhile collection set to have. So yeah, good collection. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you soon.